Welcome back to Eyewitness News. Charlie O'Hara back in the studio this morning, our legal counsel. So give him a call if you have a question. That number is 436-1212. And it's good to have you back after the big wedding.
Yes, it's great.
And you had a wonderful time in Florida.
My son's married.
Okay. And the weather was perfect, which we're happy to hear, too.
That's right.
Okay, we're happy to have you back, Charlie.
Thank you.
We're going to start off this morning and talk about e-tickets. They approved e-ticketing here in Wichita this week, and we're going to be seeing that by the end of the year. So what does it mean, e-ticketing, for the driver out there who's getting a ticket? Does it really change very much?
I don't think it really changes very much. I mean, still, if you make a traffic violation, you're going to get a ticket. What it does is it makes, number one, that you can read what you're charged with.
Right.
and it also helps because the officer will hopefully cite the right statute. A lot of times we go to court and they cited the wrong statute, put the wrong number there, which allows us as attorneys to get people out of trouble.
Okay.
So it's probably going to correct the city a little bit in having consistent charges. But it'll probably be better for everyone. It'll be more accurate. You can read what you're charged with. You'll know your court date. Everything will be clear. A lot of times on these carbon copies, which are kind of bold, I mean, I come from the days where we used to type on a typewriter and have carbon copies. But
right.
Anymore, that doesn't really happen, and the tickets still do.
Okay.
So it's really probably time to change. So we need to get up with the times. I think that's a good idea.
So a lot of folks out there snapping their fingers are not going to really be able to catch any kind of mistakes anymore. Well,
I mean, they still may be, and there'll still be defenses, but it won't be on the fact that they didn't fill the ticket out right. It'll be on other things. I mean, tickets are one thing a lot of people get. You know, it's not an unusual thing for a person that's never been in trouble to have a couple traffic tickets. So it's really where people really kind of have contact with the criminal system at a real low level.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about renter's insurance, too, this morning. Something I thought was interesting. A few weeks ago, we talked with a lot of folks who were having issues with their landlord, perhaps after the tornado damage, and we're right in the midst of severe weather season. So as far as renter's insurance goes and working with that in a future reference, if there were to be another storm, how important is that, and how does the actual landlord have to adhere to that renter's insurance?
Well, I think the renter's insurance actually applies to the content, the things that you have inside
okay.
your apartment, and I think that the other insurance, what the landlord would have, would be to the outside, so for the walls and all those things, and they would have to cover that. But your own stuff that you have in your TVs, your stereos, your iPads,
that's your
your computers would all be your responsibility. So if you've got a lot of that stuff, you probably need insurance. If you don't have much and everything's throwaway anyway, it probably doesn't matter much, but that's really what it's for on renters.
Okay, so one of those situations, they're responsible for the outside. What if the outside was not up to standard and something were to happen? Could you then go back and talk to your landlord?
Well, I suppose if the outside caused it to leak inside and cause damage, then you'd have an argument as to what the cause of the damage was. And if the outside wasn't right and that caused the damage, well, then you'd have an argument. But usually your insurance covers what's inside. The landlord's insurance covers what's outside. Okay,
thank you, Charlie. We have a caller on the line we're going to get to before we go to break. Go ahead, what's your question for Charlie this morning?
Yes, I need to find out what I can do to get guardianship of my adult daughter. She's been waiting to get into Larned since October, and they've still got her in the jail.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I think you're going to need to file some paperwork with the court to get that approved. It's not very difficult. You can do it on your own. It's usually, as I said earlier, a lot of times much better to have an attorney involved. It's a rather simple process. I don't think it would cost very much. If your daughter has those kind of problems, it would be best to get a guardianship approved by a court so that you could take care of her and make sure that she didn't waste any monies that she had and made the correct decisions in things she has in her life.
So when you take over guardianship, you're in charge of financials as well then?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to be back.
You're back. Yeah.